Thursday, October 22nd, 2020, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Today I'm going to talk about a cashless world or cashless society, and I'm not going to touch upon the usual topics of privacy, control, the fact that you'll be monitored 24/7 by the powers that be if we get a cashless society, the fact that we're going to be paying transaction fees on every transaction to the bankers or to the central bank, whoever it might be. No, I want to talk about how a cashless society would really erase a big part of our history. And the reason I'm talking about that is because of archaeology, so to speak. When people find old coins or people find old pottery or old bodies, we learn about how our forefathers, our ancestors lived. We learned what they used for money. We learned what they were trading and exchanging. We learned about what they were wearing. But I have the suspicion that with a cashless society, 1,000 years from now or 2,000 years from now, people will know nothing about what we did or what our children or their grandchildren did if we go into a cashless society. And this topic came to me because lately I've been acquiring silver coins, old silver coins, numismatic coins, not hugely, how can I say, rare, but historic. And it's amazing what you can learn from these coins. And it's amazing also what it makes you do, especially if you love history. And I love history. And it makes you go back to that time and look at the coin and the country, what the economic policies were. The fact that there were wars as well affects the coins, and even the banknotes from Zimbabwe or Weimar Germany, even though those notes became worthless, at least they give us an indication of what their history was. And I have a feeling that with a cashless society, cashless world, it will be the end of really history, so to speak. It will be like people won't be able to know what we did. I have this sneaky suspicion that 2,000 years from now, someone is not going to be able to go online and retrieve cryptocurrencies from 2020, but they will be able to go and maybe buy a coin from a numismatic or a coin dealer. They still be able to go with their metal detector to try to find coins like this one here from 1917, which is a florin. Lately I bought a coin from 1820 from the Portuguese, Brazilian, and Algarve Empire. So there you go. It leads you to look at the history. And I think people who collect coins probably love their history. And I guess if you don't like history, you won't be interested. But yeah, I think it's a big danger. It's really sinister, I think, that a cashless society or cashless world, aside from having all the other negative impacts, will actually, more importantly, in my opinion, erase history. I mean, if we didn't have the Roman coins, the silver denarius, or the other coins, we wouldn't know about the path of the Roman Empire as well as we do. We've all seen, or a lot of us have seen, the chart of the debasement of the silver coin of Rome, the denarius, and how it really corresponded with the fall of the Roman Empire. I actually happen to have a silver denarius from around 220 AD. So there you go. So we can tell a lot about what's happening in society. We can tell that once the silver was gone out of the coinage, societies collapsed. And why did that happen? Well, because the Romans could not afford to pay the legions anymore, because back then they didn't accept paper. They wanted real money or silver, so they couldn't keep the empire going. And I'm afraid the same thing could be happening right now. And I'm not trying to give a solution here. I'm just trying to speculate into the future and see what could happen as a result of a cashless society. So I got a few more examples here. Yeah, even though we know that this is not worth much, at least it has historical significance. $10 trillion from Zimbabwe, or $100 trillion from Zimbabwe, or 1 million Reichsmark from 1923. That's the thing with cash. It does allow people to go back and look at what was happening. So that's why I think a cashless society would also erase history, aside from all the nefarious impacts it could have on individuals and society. So what do I think are the chances of having a cashless society? Well, the powers that be are definitely trying hard to push that onto us, and they might succeed in the short to medium term. But I think eventually mankind usually reverts back to common sense. It might take a long time. I don't know. I'm not here to speculate on the timing. So there you go. With that, let's look at the markets this morning. It's just before 9 a.m. London time. We've got the stock markets coming off overnight. They have rebounded since I woken up this morning. I was watching it earlier. The Dow was down as far as 200 points lower, the Dow future. Right now we're down 81. The S&P is down 10 points. It was down as much as 26. So the stock market is rebounding here. Precious metals have come off a little bit on the back of the stock market coming off. I personally think precious metals, gold and silver, are going to remain strong. They're very near to breaking out, in my opinion. And even if we see continued weakness in the stock market, so as I said, and I will repeat it, you need to be patient. So right now, gold is at $19.19, down about $5. Range has been $19.10 to $19.29. Silver is down 10 cents. We're at $24.93. Range has been $24.63 to $25.10. The currencies, we saw the pound rally very strongly yesterday. Two big figures. And does that mean that the pound and the UK economy are out of the woods? No. I think in the long term, the pound, of course, is just another fiat currency. Is going to keep being debased by the powers that be versus real money, gold and silver. What's happened to the pound in the last few days is all about speculation about the negotiations for Brexit. And you've got the speculators who leverage themselves, and it moves the currency in a big way in the short term. So I saw a story yesterday in the Telegraph, because the UK published deficit data yesterday, the Office for National Statistics. And the story says record deficit ahead with no end to borrowing in sight. The abortive economic recovery and resurgence of COVID means the government could be in the red to the tune of almost 400 billion by March. So that's a budget deficit, 400 billion in 1 year. And the UK economy is a £2 trillion economy, and we know that because the article also says that the debt to GDP is just above 100% of GDP at 2 trillion. So it's crazy. That's a 20% of GDP budget deficit. All that means is the government of the UK is actually taxing not only us, but future generations. It's like they're robbing 20% of the economy right now. And that's going to have to be paid back in one form or another through taxes or inflation. I suspect it's going to be a mixture of both. And that's why it's more important than ever that you protect your savings through precious metals, in my opinion. And it's interesting that I went through this article and they never mentioned that it's 20% of GDP, which I think is huge. And why do I say that? Well, because even the Eurozone or the EU, they have this rule, and I know they haven't followed this rule, they've broken it, but their rule is that a country will be in trouble if they spend more than 3% of GDP, or if their debt to GDP also goes above 60% of GDP. So this deficit of 20%, it's like 7 times worse than the worst case scenario that the EU or the Eurozone have for members of the European Union. And I'm not trying to say that the European Union is doing something right. I'm just trying to put it into perspective what 20% of GDP is. It's huge. So what about the euro? Well, the euro is unchanged, 118.54. It was up yesterday as well, not as much as the pound, of course. The dollar is unchanged versus the yen, 104.55. And the dollar has rebounded a little bit versus the yuan. We're up 0.25% at 665.80. WTI crude is at 40.25. So we're down from yesterday. When I made my video, we were at around 41, but we're up overnight about 0.5%. To finish off, the 10-year yield, we're at 0.82. That's unchanged. That breakout I was talking about yesterday seems to have been put in check for now, but I still think we need to keep an eye on the 10-year yield. So there you go. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. Please share it far and wide. Think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't yet. Make sure you click on that little notification bell to be notified of all my new videos. And you can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and all these other platforms below. I wish you all a great day. Take care. Bye.